Welcome to GhMixMixx, and thank you for making time. Today I just want to talk about something that's just the topic of the day, the spectre of insecurity in Ghana. Now, it is time to speak truth to power. Journalists, men of God, educated people, everybody, it's time to speak truth to power. It's time to put party affiliations on the back burner and put national interests on the front lines. When you speak truth to power these days, there are people who just stand up and tag you with party tags if what you're saying does not favor them. If you speak truth to an NDC government, you are tagged NPP. If you speak truth to an NPP government, you are tagged NDC. Now listen, there are some of us whose only political affiliation is to Mother Ghana, the beautiful country Ghana, the Ghana that Kwame Nkrumah envisaged to be the bright, shining black star, the Ghana that J.B. Dankwa and all the other founding fathers envisaged to be the beautiful country that they wanted to bequeath to the generations following them. That is the only affiliation, and that is the only allegiance that some of us have. And if you actually really do love your party, it's in your interest to speak truth to power. Now, we have a country where people are bold enough to carry guns and go around intimidating other people because they don't share their political affiliation. That is shameful. We have a country where people can stand up in broad daylight and threaten the sitting president that there's going to be mayhem if he does not follow through on some kind of promise that he's supposed to have made to them. That's shameful. And we have this country where the president, instead of taking swift action against these people, sits and says nothing at all to them. And rather we see them just going berserk, taking power into their own hands. It is shameful. It is very shameful. We're living our lives in Ghana like we don't know what has happened in other countries. We're not that far from Sierra Leone. We're not that far from Liberia. Those of us that were old enough, that are old enough, I should say, to see the mass exodus of people that came to Ghana. Bujumbura village is right there as a reminder. We're not that far from Cote d'Ivoire, right next door. And yet we go on as if all that matters is today. All these Yokogari macho men that are metamorphosing all over the place, terrorizing people. Listen, macho man, you go some place where some people go follow you in some kind of fashion where you yourself, you go shock. Oh, I'm telling you. You go hold one gun. You go have maybe 5 bullets in that gun, and then you have 200 people coming after you. After your 5 bullets done, what you go do? Let's be smart, people. All these politicians who are fomenting all of this nonsense, they have bank accounts filled with dollars stashed away. Their children are in Oxford and Yale and Harvard and all these other schools. They have diplomatic passports with multiple visas. They can leave the country at the snap of the fingers. They can fly their children out with no wahala at all. And then you and I, our families, will be the ones that will bear the brunt of all this nonsense going on. Let's stop this. It's not good. And then when you start talking about it, you have people who stand up and just tag you with all kind of tags. It's shameful. Now, the men of God, the so-called men of God, Your silence is shameful. When you see something like this, it's time for you to stand up and speak truth to power. Men of God, you read the Bible, you know how prophets like Nathan stood up and spoke truth to power. So no matter how close you are to the president, no matter how favored you are with the president, it is time to speak truth to power. It's your duty. That's what Jesus would do. That's what Muhammad would do. That's what Buddha would do. That's what all the religious figures that we are all so much following, that's what they would do. They will speak truth to power. Don't wait till it's too late. Do not wait till it's too late. This is the time to nip that kind of nonsense in the bud. Speak truth to power. And to all these educated people who appear on WhatsApp groups and all of that and start spewing nonsense like they sold their conscience only because they don't like some political party or because they like the other political party, it's shameful. It's very shameful. Okay? The essence of education, says Haile Selassie, is to lead the way for others to follow. You learn, you study so that you lead the way in where you have the knowledge for other people who don't have the knowledge to follow. So for those of us who have had the benefit of education, to stoop low to the point where we just sell our conscience and say nothing when such nonsense is going on, sirs, madams, it's shameful. You should bow your head in shame. You should. Because you show up on all these, you go on platforms where they are really educated people and you expect some kind of elevation in the discourse that we're having. And all people can say is, oh, NDC did it too. But talking about that, I'm not saying this just about the NPP. The NDC also has vigilante groups. The IPAC, the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, should call all the parties to order, disband all the vigilante groups, disband all of them. It's not just the invisible forces or whatever they call themselves. It's also the NDC vigilante groups, or whichever party has vigilante groups. Disband all of them for the safety of the citizenry. We don't need any of this. And to us, the citizens, let us show these people who has the real power. Let us rise up and speak truth to power. Call them out. Let them disband all those groups. Because if the NDC vigilante group and the NPP vigilante group clash, who is caught in the crosshairs? The citizenry. Let me end by saying I applaud the bravery of those who have stood up in their parties and spoken truth to power. There are few people in the NPP, for instance, who rose up to condemn what happened at Ayawaso. There are some in the NDC who have sat up and condemned the existence of vigilante groups in their ranks. That is the spirit. That's what we should be doing. And to all those of you who would just sit down and let politicians have their way, let me say shame once more on you. My name is Kwesi E, Baako. I come in peace, but I come not to please. I'll see you next week with something different and hopefully something more uplifting. One love.